Welcome to Property Sourcing Made Simple. This is episode 1. Welcome to the party. Okay, this is the series where I'm going to take you from knowing absolutely nothing about property sourcing to building, growing and scaling your own sourcing business. So if you're completely new to property or you're thinking about maybe becoming a sourcer or simply wondering whether it's even the right path for you, then you're in the right place. And if this is the first time you've ever clicked on one of my videos, hello, my name is Shelley, and I have spent the last 6 years whilst bringing up kids, buying property, sourcing deals and working with investors on big projects. I've made a lot of money, I've lost a lot of money, and I've made plenty of mistakes, and I've learned some really incredible lessons. And in this series, I'm going to be sharing all of it, the good, the bad and the ugly. So let's dive in. One thing you'll learn about me quite quickly is that I'm not here to tell you that property sourcing is the best strategy in property. In fact, I think that is one of the biggest problems with this industry, and that's that people find a strategy that works for them and then they spend the next 5 years telling anyone who will listen that that is the only way to make money, whether that's buy-to-lets, HMOs, social housing, commercial conversions or property sourcing. Whatever they're doing suddenly becomes the best strategy, and the truth is that there isn't a best strategy. There's only the strategy that works well for you. So before you spend money on training, before you start posting on social media, calling yourself a property sourcer, or before you convince yourself this is the business that you're going to build, let's work out whether this is actually even a good fit. First though, what actually even is property sourcing, okay? The easiest way I can explain it, and I like to explain it like this, is the reverse of an estate agent, right? Because an estate agent works for the seller. Their job is to achieve the highest possible price for that seller. A property sourcer works for the buyer. So our job is to identify great property opportunities, negotiate the best possible purchase price for the investor, analyze the deal properly and present the opportunity, because they wouldn't have found it themselves, okay? Or they simply haven't got time to source a deal like that themselves. You're not selling houses, you're selling your time, your expertise, your negotiation skills, and your network, and most importantly, access, okay? The best sources aren't just sending Rightmove links to investors, they're bringing genuine opportunities to the table that investors simply wouldn't have access to otherwise. And that is what an investor pays for. That is your client. Typical sourcing fees will probably start around £3,000 on like a straightforward buy-to-let, but it depends on the opportunity and the complexity of the project, and they can run into the tens of thousands, because remember, they're not paying for the property, they're paying for the service and the level of service that you provide. Now, is property sourcing actually right for you? So this is where I'm probably going to de-influence a few people. I have had so many one-to-one conversations with people wanting to get into property and property sourcing, and I've genuinely said to them, I actually don't think sourcing is the right strategy for you, because I would much rather you build the right business and not start with the wrong one and hate property forever. Now, if you have got limited funds but you have got time to build something properly, big fat green tick, okay? If you're a people person, if you're not afraid to pick up the phone, you've worked in sales or you've worked in customer service before, or you naturally just enjoy building relationships, another big fat green tick, okay? If you are prepared to dedicate the next year at least to understanding how to buy property and how it actually works, how to analyze deals, how to negotiate, how to build relationships with investors in the UK, how to understand different strategies, and how to just immerse yourself into the industry, knowing that the payoff in the long run is that it could completely change your future and the way you buy, another massive green tick, okay? Because that is what property sourcing really is. It's an active business. Low cost does not mean low effort. You will be on the phone, you'll be viewing properties, you'll be analysing deals at 8 o'clock when everyone else has gone to bed or doing whatever they want, and you'll be attending networking events and you'll be following up with a lot of people. But the good thing is you're going to be learning constantly. And honestly, that is one of the reasons why I love it, especially when you're starting out, okay? Now, don't start property sourcing if you're looking for passive income. Honestly, that phrase, it actually just gives me the ick. And actually, I think it's one of the biggest mistakes new property investors make. Everyone seems to come into this industry chasing a passive income dream, but nobody talks about what must come first. You have to be active before you can become passive. And that's the bit that people don't talk about on social media. Okay, you have to build. That's exactly what we're doing here. You're building skills, you're building relationships, you're building your confidence. and you're building systems to execute that portfolio you might want to buy down the line. You're building cash flow to support yourself, and you're building yourself a reputation, and none of that happens overnight. So if I'm being completely honest, just forget passive income for the next 5 years. Seriously, I know how I have. You just have to get your head down, learn how property really works, learn how to analyze those deals and do all of those things that I've just mentioned. Meet people, make mistakes, build your network, build your business. Because if you do that properly, one day you are going to have the choice to step back. Maybe then you can retire on a beach somewhere and switch off your phone and enjoy the passive income that you've just spent the last 5 years creating, but don't skip the building part, because that's the part that makes everything else possible. And that's exactly why property sourcing can be such an incredible strategy, not because it's passive, because it's one of the best ways to build the skills that you so crucially need, the contacts that you need, and the experience that is going to stay with you. No one can take that away from you for the rest of your property career. Now, let's talk about social media. So you've probably seen the videos. I made £40,000 yesterday sourcing a deal. I earned 5-figure sourcing fee in 10 seconds. Now, you'll see that everywhere now that I've said that. Okay, look, can that happen? Absolutely. Will it happen in your first few months? Probably not. And that's also okay, because I actually encourage you to forget about the money, forget about the passive, forget about the money. Spend the first few months building the foundations. I'm just setting the expectation, okay? Learn how to analyze those deals properly, understand how investors think, learn the market and build that reputation. And that's what creates a business that is gonna last. So finally, I wanna bust a few myths, okay? First of all, I don't know any investors. No, you don't know where to find investors, and there's a huge difference. Nobody starts with an investor database, you build one. And I'm going to show you exactly how I did that in a future episode, okay? Another one is, why would anyone pay me tens of thousands of pounds when they can just find a property themselves online? Well, the answer to that is so simple, because successful people understand delegation of their time. Investors don't just pay for a property. Remember, they are paying for your time, your expertise, and your access to stuff they haven't got time to do themselves. Especially if you're bringing them something exclusive, off market, you're going to help them save time and you're going to help them grow their portfolio. And that is a service that is worth paying for. And finally, property sourcing is oversaturated. Absolutely not. And I don't believe that for a second. Property isn't going nowhere. Markets go up, markets come down, strategies change, but property still gets bought, property still gets sold, investors still invest, and opportunity is always there no matter what the market's doing. You just need to learn how to operate at a high level. So hopefully you've got a much better understanding of what property sourcing actually is, and more importantly, whether it's the right strategy for you. Because remember, the goal is not to choose a strategy that everybody else is shouting about on that given day. It's to choose a strategy that is right for you. Now, if you have watched this and thought, actually, you know what, I think sourcing could be a really good fit for me, then make sure you subscribe, like and subscribe, because in the next episode, I'm going to show you exactly what I would do in my first 30 days if I was starting a property sourcing business from absolutely scratch. No money, no investors, no credibility. And we're going to cover where I'd focus my time, what I would completely ignore, and how I'd build the right foundations from day one. And if you want more behind the scenes content, the property viewings, the investor conversations, that real time like deal analysis and all those little bits that don't make it onto YouTube, you can also come over to Instagram and join my free channel, which is live right now. If you're active on there, come and join me, and I will leave the link somewhere in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next episode.